Hello everybody and welcome to chapter 24 of the book of Shemot as we continue to travel through Tanach. Chapter 24 has 18 verses and it starts in the Koren Sachs Chumash at the very bottom of page 528 and 529. This chapter brings us to one of the most powerful and defining moments in the Torah, the formal sealing of the covenant between Hashem and Bnei Israel. The chapter begins with an invitation to ascend the mountain. Moshe, together with Aaron and Aaron's sons Nadav and Avihu, as well as 70 elders, are called to approach the mountain, but with clear boundaries. Moshe alone will come closest, while the people remain at a distance. Moshe then comes down and conveys Hashem's words and laws to the people, and their response is immediate and unified. Na'aseh, we will do. Moshe then records these teachings in writing, creating what the Torah calls a Sefer Habris, a book of the covenant, and prepares a formal ceremony comprised of offerings and blood which gets divided. Half is sprinkled on the altar, representing Hashem, and half is sprinkled on the people. And as the covenant is sealed, the people elevate their commitment even further, declaring Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will listen, meaning that we will first make sure to buy in wholeheartedly, and then we will understand further what it is that we are signing up for. So this really is a striking moment, a nation binding itself to a relationship with Hashem that goes beyond full understanding, yet is rooted in trust and willingness. Following this, Moshe, Aaron, Nadav and Avihu and the elders ascend once more. There they experience a vision of Hashem, described in vivid but symbolic terms. And yet, despite the intensity of the moment, the Torah notes that they ate and drank, a detail that our rabbis grapple with. Finally, the focus narrows to Moshe alone. He is called further up the mountain into the cloud, where he will remain for 40 days and 40 nights. A couple of points worth noting before we start properly with going through the verses. First of all, there's a big question as to where chapter 24 fits into the narrative chronologically. Is it taking place before the Ten Commandments are given, or is it taking place after? The rabbis actually debate this. And amongst our commentators, we see that Rashi says this chapter actually takes place before the Ten Commandments were given, in which case the covenant ceremony and the declaration of Na'aseh v'nishma all happened before Matan Torah that we read about in chapter 20. Whereas Ramban, Nachmanides, disagrees. He says the chapter is in chronological order. First, there was Matan Torah, then Mishpatim, the laws that we have been learning about over the last few chapters were given, and then came the formal sealing of the covenant. So it really depends on how one understands this commitment by the Israelites of Na'aseh v'nishma. Did the people commit before hearing everything as a big leap of faith, or did they commit after hearing the laws, in which case it was an informed acceptance? Either it's faith before understanding or commitment after understanding. Either way, it's a wonderful question to delve into further. The other question worth considering is, what does it mean when we say that Moshe wrote a Sefer Habris? What exactly did that include? And again, this is discussed by the rabbis and the commentaries. The main approaches seem to be either it was the book of Bereshis and the book of Shemot for everything that has happened so far, leading up to this particular moment, or perhaps it was just the last few chapters detailing the mitzvahs that they will have been learning about. This is also a very interesting topic to delve into further, but for now we're going to turn to chapter 24, verse 1. Ve'el Moshe Amar, to Moses he said, Alei el Adonai, go up to Hashem, Ata, you, Va'aharon, and Aaron, Nadav va'avihu, as well as Nadav and Avihu, who are the sons of Aaron, V'shivim miziknei Yisrael, and 70 of the elders of Israel, V'ishtachavisem merachok, and you shall bow down from afar. Verse 2, V'nigash Moshe levado el Adonai, Moshe alone shall approach Hashem, V'heim lo yigashu, but they shall not approach, V'ha'am lo ya'alu imo, nor shall the people come up with him. Verse 3, Vayavo Moshe came, Vayisaper la'am es kol divrei Adonai, and told the people all the words of Hashem, Ve'es kol ha'mishpatim, and all the laws, Vayan kol ha'am kol echad, and the people all responded with one voice, Vayomru, and they said, Kol ha'dvarim asher diber Adonai na'aseh, All that Hashem has spoken, we shall do. Verse 4, Vayichtov Moshe es kol divrei Adonai. Then Moshe wrote down all of Hashem's words. Vayashkem baboker, and he arose early the next morning. Vayiven mizbeach tachas hahar, and he built an altar at the base of the mountain. Ushtem esrei matzeva, l'shnei masar shiftei Yisrael, and also 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 5, Vayishlach es na'arei b'nei Yisrael. Then he sent young men of Israel, Vayalu olos, and they brought up burnt offerings. Vayizbechu zvachim shlamim ladonai parim, and they slaughtered bulls to Hashem as peace offerings to Hashem. Verse 6, Vayikach Moshe, and Moshe took Chatzi Hadam, half the blood, Vayasem ba'aganos, and he put it into bowls. V'chatzi Hadam zarak ala mizbeach, and the other half he sprinkled on the altar. Verse 7, Vayikach Sefer Habris, then he took the book of the covenant, Vayikra ba'aznei ha'am, and he read it aloud to the people. Vayomru, and they said, Kol asher diber Adonai, Naseh v'nishma. All that Hashem has spoken we shall do, and we will listen to, we will obey. Verse 8, Vayikach Moshe es hadam, and Moshe took the blood, Vayizrok ala'am, and he sprinkled it upon the people, and that might mean that he sprinkled it towards the people rather than sprinkling it on them. Vayomer, and he said, Hine dam habris asher karas Adonai imachem. This is the blood of the covenant that Hashem is making with you, al kol advarim ha'ele, regarding all these words. Verse 9, Vayal Moshe v'Aharon, and Moshe went up with Aaron, Nadav v'Avihu, as well as Nadav and Avihu, v'shivim miziknei Yisrael, and 70 of Israel's elders. Verse 10, Vayiru es Elohei Yisrael, and they saw a vision of Hashem, the God of Israel. V'sachas raglav, and beneath his feet, Kamasei livnas hasapir, was what looked like sapphire brickwork, Uche'etzem hashamayim latoha, and it was like the essence of the heaven in purity. Verse 11, Ve'elatzile b'nei Yisrael, and against the great men of the children of Israel, Lo shalach yado, he did not stretch out his hand. Vayechesu es ha'Elohim, vayochlu vayishtu, and they gazed at Hashem, and yet they ate and drank. And our rabbis actually point out that this moment when Nadav and Avihu are reacting by eating and drinking after perceiving this incredibly great and lofty vision, this was actually the moment that sealed their fate, that we will read about much later on in the book of Vayikra, when Nadav and Avihu will end up losing their lives on the very first day when they started serving in the Mishkan. But all of that is yet to come. Verse 12, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, and Hashem said to Moshe, Alei Elai Hahara v'heyeh sham, ascend to me on the mountain and remain there. Ve'etna lecha es luchos ha'even, and I shall give you the stone tablets, v'hatorah v'hamitzvah asher kosavti lahorosam, with the teaching and the commandments that I have written to instruct the people. Verse 13, Vayakam Moshe v'Yehoshua masharaso, so Moshe set out with Yehoshua, his disciple, Vayal Moshe el har ha'Elohim, and Moshe ascended the mountain of Hashem. Verse 14, Ve'elazakenim omar, and to the elders he said, Shvu lanu vazeh ad asher nashuv aleichem, wait for us here until we return to you. V'hine Aaron v'Chur imachem, and Aaron and Chur will stay here with you. Mival devarim yigash aleihem, and whoever has a dispute shall go to them. Verse 15, Vayal Moshe el Hahar, and Moshe climbed the mountain, Vaychas he'anan es Hahar, and the cloud covered the mountain. Verse 16, Vayishkon kavod Adonai al Har Sinai, the glory of Hashem rested on Mount Sinai, Vaychasehu he'anan sheishes yamim, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. Vayikra el Moshe bayom hashvi'i mitoch he'anan, and he called to Moshe on the 7th day from within the cloud. This was all a very lengthy process of preparation for Moshe before he would be able to ascend the mountain. Verse 17, Umarei kavod Adonai ke'esh ocheles barosh hahar. The appearance of Hashem's glory was like a consuming fire on the mountain top, le'inei b'nei Yisrael, before the eyes of the children of Israel. And finally, verse 18, Vayavo Moshe b'soch ha'anan, Moshe entered the cloud, Vayal el hahar, and climbed the mountain, Vahi Moshe bahar arbaim yom v'arbaim laila. And Moshe stayed there for 40 days and 40 nights. And as we may know, the story won't end well. In 40 days and 40 nights' time, that is when Moshe is going to try and descend from the top of the mountain, holding the luchot, holding the tablets of stone in his hand, and he is going to end up smashing them on the ground and he's going to end up smashing them on the ground in a very dramatic episode. But we're not there yet. While we come to the end of chapter 24 now, there will actually be 7 or 8 chapters that we have to go through before we actually get to that story. Chapter 25 will pick up at the beginning of Parashas Terumah. I look forward to learning that chapter with you soon. In the meantime, have a wonderful and meaningful day.